Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Neil here, and today we are checking out a brand new amplifier from BLACKSTAR Amplification. This is the IDX and it is absolutely killer. Okay guys, so before we get on with any more playing in today's video, I just want to talk a bit about my affiliate links. Down there below in the description there is a Thomann affiliate link. Go through that link, put anything you want in the search bar and buy it, and it really helps support me at this end. Also, I'm a Sonicake affiliate as well guys, and if you go through that link down there below in the description for Sonicake, then use code Neil, you get 10% off, which is awesome. Right, moving on to this amplifier. This amp has blown my mind. I absolutely love this thing. Basically, if you combined the BLACKSTAR amp series with the ID Core practice amps, then in my opinion, you would get this bad boy here. That's what this is, in my opinion. We're going to go over the control panel really quick with you guys so you understand exactly what this amp does, because there's a hell of a lot going on. And we're also going to go over the back panel as well. What I will say is that in short, this is like a modern processor built into an amp. Okay, so there's banks in there and there's channels in there and there's presets and things like that, all in a digital modeling amp. And I think that tone wise, it has the amp series quality tone in there. So that's in short, but let's go over the top panel now, the control panel, and see exactly what's going on. Over the top here, we have the voice control next to the input, and on there is a clean warm, a clean bright, a crunch, a super crunch, an OD1 and an OD2. Now, the two clean channels, basically one is brighter than the other, as you'd expect. One is more spanky and the other one is more full and round sounding. The next channel here, the crunch channel, that gets you into plexi and classic 800 style tones that we all know and love. Think AC/DC rock, you know, when you mention the BLACKSTAR crunch channel, it nails those types of tones. The super crunch channel here has a touch more gain. It can do the AC/DC style stuff, but it can get you into like Skid Row, Anthrax, old Metallica, you know, thrash like Slayer. It can get you from kind of glam rock, classic tones right the way through to thrash on super crunch. If you want a bit more gain than that, OD1 may be for you. OD1 is a very open channel. It has a lot of gain on there, but the drive is quite clear and open, and if you want it tightened up, putting a boosting or something like that really makes that channel shine for high gain leads on metal. However, if you want a really open, in your face, aggressive overdrive tone, then OD1 is probably the one for you. OD2 on the other hand is a modern metal tone, a lead tone. There's tons of gain on there. It cuts really well. It gets super tight. Throw a boost in front, wind the gain down, and you know, you're into like modern EVH style amp territory, and it really does sound absolutely fantastic. Next to that, we've got the gain control, and below we've got an LED with gate next to it, saying gate next to it. Now, there is a built-in gate on this amp, and you can access it over here via these controls, which we'll talk about in a moment. If you rig this amp up to your Mac or your PC, which I've done to get a couple of good presets in there, it opens a whole new world. It's easier to use. And the gate, usually gates operate well for metal around 50 to 60%. This gate, in my opinion, wants to be a bit higher, around the 70%, but it's a pretty good gate, it does its job, and it's nice to have a gate on an amp, and in my opinion, all modern amps should have gates on. With the amount of gains and boosts and things that we are using now. We've got a channel volume, we have a bass, middle and treble. The ID core range, the V4 did not have that, they only had the ISF, but on this amp you've got the 3-band EQ and you've also got the ISF as well to tweak it even more. I usually have that around 1 o'clock, I find that that's a bit of a sweet spot for me. And below that, we have a manual button, which is obviously to control everything that you're doing on the fly on the amp. You can dial in tones, guys, just using the controls on the control panel. If you're a knob tweaker rather than a PC or a Mac guy, then don't worry, you can do it all on the top panel. You don't need to rig it up to anything. So below that here we have a bank control, a bank button, and we have a channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3. Basically what you have to do is think of this amp as a modern floor-based processor with presets and banks, and that's kind of how that works. You have a bank, and on each bank there are 3 channels, or should I say 3 presets to each bank that you can switch through. And it's really cool, it's really awesome, and obviously it takes the amp to other levels in terms of how many presets you can store on the amp. I think it's really cool. Over here we've got the effects part. So we have pre-effects. So basically the effects that would be in front of your preamp, overdrives. We have those that we can control on here. We have modulation effects, and we have delays and reverbs that would go in your loop as well. To control them, we have these 2 controls here, these toggle controls, but you also can use them as switches as well. When you press them, it flicks to the next effect. So it's really cool, and that's how you can program this amp on the fly using the top panel rather than having to plug it in to your Mac or your PC, which is cool. We have the master volume here, guys. Now this is the 50-watt version that I have. I was thinking about getting the 100 version at first, but I'm glad I didn't now, because that control, you only have to try and tweak it a bit when it's set to 50 watts, this amp. At the slightest touch, nudge, and you're blowing the walls off the place. It gets loud really quickly, which is where we come to the next part of the amp here. Over here we have the power switch, where we can go from 1 watt to 10 watt to 50 watts. Now what I will say is, in the house I find 10 watts just fine and about right. When I put it to 50 watts, like I say, the slightest nudge on the master and you're blowing the house to pieces. And then the 1 watt is super safe, where you can, you know, if you knock the master, it's not going to get super loud or anything and annoy anybody. So that's pretty cool. Over here we have the response section. Now what this is like a power amp response. There's EL84, EL34 and 6L6. They are massively different and will affect your tone in a massive way. EL34 is in your face, thick and really big sounding in the mid-range. 6L6 is slightly more scooped, probably a bit more chuggy. You know, metal players, modern metal players will probably prefer the 6L6. Then you have the EL84, which is super tight and articulate. Guys that tune really low would probably like that. I think there's a lot of bite there and a lot of attack. But yeah, it really does do quite a lot to your tone, and this is kind of stolen off the Amp series floor-based amps by BLACKSTAR. Right, we're going to hit the back panel now, because there's quite a lot going on the back panel as well. and there's some magic around there that I absolutely love that we're going to talk about. So basically you've got your power on switch, you've got your kettle lead, obviously where it goes in there to power the damn thing. You've got a foot switch here, which I would recommend getting the foot switch if you want to use this amp, and I'm probably going to get in touch with BLACKSTAR, ask them if they will send me a foot switch out. Then we have cab rig here, and this is one of my favorite things that BLACKSTAR amps have. I absolutely love cab rig. It's come on in leaps and bounds from when it first started. I remember when they first launched the cab rig and it was pretty basic and bland. It's now awesome and it sounds amazing. Without going on about it too much, basically you can design your own IR. You can choose a cab, choose a speaker, choose a mic, choose a room, put some post EQ in there, and then you can save 3 of those IRs or presets, cab rig presets, to the amp. And then you can go direct. So if you play with this thing live, you will be able to hear this amp behind you, but you will also be able to go straight to a desk as well out the front, which will sound better than obviously miking a 112 combo. There's a USB out. This is to rig it up to your Mac or your PC. You can program the amp that way, and also you can design your IRs in cab rig, but also you can come out of that straight into an iPhone, which is how I'm going to be recording most of the demo today. There's a level control on there as well, and also a select button where you select between the 3 presets, the cab rig presets that you have. We've got a send and a return, and we also have a line in for streaming, so you guys that want to stream live can use that. I probably won't use that. I'll just use USB straight into the phone. I don't need to really stream at the moment. I keep thinking, should I do a live stream? Maybe. One day I will use this amp and that might be the first live stream that I ever do. Right guys, so what do you think of the IDX? I think it's absolutely awesome. I'd love for a head version of this to be brought out. I think it would really take off. It would for me, but you know, obviously BLACKSTAR are not going to put that out there unless they know they're a definite sales. They don't just make amps to please Neil. But yeah, I think it's awesome. I'd love to see a head version of this. The reason for that is because then I can rig this up to, you know, 412 and get some real meat out of it. Is this a Katana killer like a lot of people have been saying? I think because of the capabilities on this thing and cab rig and things like that that are included, I think that it probably is a Katana killer. I don't have a Boss Katana here to compare it to. Unfortunately, I wish I did. It's just an awesome piece of kit, and if you're in the market for a new digital modeling amp, then this is definitely an amp that you have to look at. It's great for me to not have to fire up tube amps. I've been doing it all my life, and just to lately doing the YouTube thing, it's nice to be able to just turn something on and go without all the messing about with you know, getting your effects board out and all of that business. You know, everything's built in and it's just convenient. As I always say, guys, it doesn't matter what I say or I think. Use your ears, not mine. I want to know what you guys think of this amp down there below in the comments. If you own a Boss Katana or another ID core, please let me know your opinions on both of those things. I think it's awesome. I love it, so I don't really care what anybody else says or thinks. I also want to say a huge thanks to Stringjoy, who sponsor my channel. They send out the strings so I can make these videos for you and sound fresh. And also huge thanks to Dan's Guitar Store picks as well. I use the Precision Mini picks, and without those I wouldn't have my picking power either. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all soon.